welcome to all the audience of Pangasinan Studies and Bulusan Studies. In this conference, you will learn about a lot of things, and I hope you will enjoy what we have for today. I'm Elisar Evangelista, and I'm from Pangasinan. Well, I moved to Japan in 2019, and from here, I started to venture on academic studies during my free time. It's actually an honor to me and a privilege to be invited to be one of the presenters in this particular event. So, my studies about perspectives on Pangasinan culture, identity, society, and worldview in Pangasinan novelty songs. What are these? Actually, the Pangasinan novelty songs are Pangasinan pop culture material. Well, ang tuiya. Well, I selected 23 Pangasinan novelty songs written by Gusting Aninsyong Tamayo. Akin at Sikara. Well, we will answer that later on. Well, I wanted to extract the lexims or lexical semantics. Yeah, the terms used in these songs, the content words used in these songs to identify Pangasinan worldview, culture, and identity using lexical semantics. Well, what is lexical semantics? It's a study of words, finding the context and meanings of these words as they are used in various discourses. So, akin at kansyon di insyong tan gusting. Like I said, because these are product, material culture as reflected in Pangasinan popular culture. So, we have high culture and low culture. Usually, when we talk about popular culture, we talk about social class. We talk about the targeted audience and consumers of these Pangasinan novelty songs or popular culture materials like PNS. But definitely, there is something in them. We should not always try to put boundaries based on social class and consumption on this pop cultural material because they are significant. They reflect the majority. Okay, akin at kansyon di insyong tan gusting. Naubatan tayo laitan. Natan, we will have to look at antoy kakanaan na saratan na kansyon. Why PNS? Why is it significant? Well, PNS are significant because they express states of mind or character or attitudes of the people who they reflect or the people they represent. And according to Langer, lyrics used in these songs are actually linguistic symbols. And actually, Mr. Fong, a dean of the College of Arts and Communication at UP Baguio, says that the songs serve as representation or revelations of local community cultures, and the songs are a rich resource of contemporary life and psyche of this group of people. So they reflect who we are. But definitely, we have to know who are our songwriters. Our songwriters are, of course, there, living. We can actually say that they are actually our treasures, and thanks to them, and I hope they are attending this event today, and they are with us. Okay, di insyong tan gusting tamayo sa isang kapinsan, yeah, broadcasters tayo mat at Pangasinan. We also have Rosie Evangelista, the classical Pangasinan songs, and we also have Corazon Cardona, and I met her when I was conducting this study, which I started since 2014, I guess. Okay, so there is actually a songwriting tradition in Pangasinan. I would say it's actually a social tradition because there is a continuity of songwriting as a practice in Pangasinan. So I hope that we will have to continue this social tradition, songwriting in Pangasinan. Okay, so paano niya ginawa iya? You can look at this framework. Will writers express or write about expressions? And where do they get the themes of their write-ups? They get the themes of their write-ups from their environment, from the society where they belong. So actually, it's automatic that if they draw inspiration from their society, their culture, and they use their own language in expressing their ideas, it is actually reflective of not only individual identity, but the group identity. So songwriting and production is actually a meaning-making process. So we will have to employ lexical semantics. We will have to extract the content words of these Pangasinan novelty songs and then analyze them, how they reflect identity, culture, and worldview using lexical semantics. At the end of this, the identity, culture, and worldview reflect who? We, Pangasinenses. So that's actually the endpoint of this study. So this study operates in this dialectic as well. PNS, consumption, to lexims, where there is meaning and identity, and representation. Representation of who? Representation of the Pangasinan people. So with the use of key lexims of this study, I have identified that identities are reinforced further through thematic usage or social context or backdrop of the songs. So if Insyong would talk about Punshano, so if Insyong would talk about Sigay, these are actually social events or phenomenon or actually traditions of Pangasinan people and culture which have drawn their inspiration to write for it. Okay, also, this is very important. If we lack material culture in our culture, if we lack artifacts to trace our own origins, we have one particular heritage, and that is actually our language. Our language is an intangible cultural heritage and identity marker. We have to be proud of it. So PNS is a repository of social memory or contemporary times. Why do I say so? Well, we can actually discuss and further reinforce this assertion based on this study. And also, I have identified and concluded that PNS serve as social storyteller. They tell something about the contemporary social history and culture of Pangasinan people. And also, PNS reaffirmed the stature of PNS as pop culture or cultural material. Okay, to give you an example, these are the frequent or usual themes of the lyrics used in these songs. So if you will have to extract the words used in these songs, I found 1,033 content words. Okay, out of these 1,033 content words, I have grouped them according to thematic or semantic levels. So I have identified that most of these words reflect aquaculture, fishing, it reflects jobs, attitude, beliefs, social practices, rituals, folk medicine, marriage, and courtship. Of course, these are all part of who we are, what we do as Pangasinan people. So these are very important. Okay, so to give you an example about the essence of lexical semantics in this study, look at this word, kamal, kalap, or panagkalap. Of course, these words are grouped into sigay as ikut, tan kamal. So what are the significance of these words? Let's find out.
And aquaculture is one of the highlights of this study. Why? Because they reflect the flourishing industry of Pangasinan people as also part of our identity. Well, why do we say so? Because we have lots of words related to aquaculture, such as kamal and panagkalap. Well, you might think, are these words the same or are they interchangeable? Well, kamal is actually a Pangasinan word that refers to hatching fish from ponds or fish pans. However, panagkalap is a word that refers to hatching fish from the sea or salt water. And we also have other words related to this semantic feature. We have impabilwas, impaipaluk, impasakbit, nanbangwit. Regardless of the method to be used in catching fish, these words reflect our abundant words in aquaculture. What about beliefs? Well, the words abambano, bambano, butang, kaiba, and kayo-kayo are Pangasinan words that reflect our belief. And we all know that butang can be translated as an offering, and kaiba is actually our belief to animism. And we still have, a practice of this based on our folk practice or occurrence, and of course, popularity of traditional medicine. Whereas in social events, practices, and customs, we can take a look at the words bakas and poncha. Well, values are reinforced in many social events such as this. Why? Because they reflect the contemporary life and class of Pangasinan people. Why? Why is this so? Because in Pangasinan contemporary society, we have classes. We have the upper classes, the landowners, and the lower classes, or actually the tenants. Well, in these events, participation in such occasions is actually a process where the validation of the status of the upper class is being reinforced. Why do we say so? Because according to Anderson, small landowner households participate in these events even though they're not invited. Whereas in this song by Insyong in the Punshano is described or actually used in a comical, sensical way. However, the discourse related to that song is actually reflective of Pangasinan contemporary society. What about worldview? Well, in Pangasinan worldview, we have the words agayla as an expression of surprise, overwhelm, pain, and other meanings depending on stress or emphasis of these words. And we also have the metaphorical use of the word andegrekut, which is an exaggeration of something negative. Bangbangling is described as something being ordinary, disregarded, ignored, that may refer to the state or quality of being a member of the lowest class rank, those who are under the tenant type. Well, this word reflects the social structure of Pangasinan contemporary society and the class system that exists mainly based on landlordship or land ownership. And in the song Manggiw Giw Giw, Raul Insyong Tamayo described the status of this man who is actually a lover, who lacks self-confidence and who may have, who may not have the luck and privileges to pursue a particular beautiful lady or maiden in their community because he or she lacks confidence as a member of the peasant group tenant type, and there are opportunities that other suitors may have, especially those who are members of the upper classes. What about the other words such as kalamor in kaabig? Well, kalamor may mean a lot. They might mean supplication, or they might mean expression of frustrations, angers, excitement, or dismay, depending on their usage and the context where they are used. What about in kaabig? In kaabig may refer to a certain particular condition from healing, or it might say like a choice or affirmation or a result of an outcome. Described madalinton and discuss this word. Madalinton is defined as quick, readily available, convenient, within reach, and swift. It's an excerpt from PNS title Limon Kan Kakanen, produced in 1993 by singer Insyong Tamayo. Well, it's a little bit difficult to define this word, so we need a socio-historical context to define it. The coin term madalinton uloy or quick rule is a reflective or has a shade of socio-historical experience of Pangasinan people, which serves as an example of their worldview which transcended across generations. Why? Let's look at the first stanza. Ang ganwad man kaagik ag kumapiton palanday, although you are in the seventh mountain, my fellow, ya agbalot na sabi ay madalinton uloy, which could never be reached by a swift rule. Okay, this is actually reflective of those people who live in the Cordillera. Why do we say so? Because they were the ones who were not colonized by the Spaniards when they arrived in the Philippines. And yes, those people who live in the Cordillera were actually the people who live in the Kumapinton Palanday. With regards to the use of number 7, well, I don't have any specific explanation to that, but this might refer to the number of mountain ranges where they can reach, or an absolute use of a number which refers to the quality or state of being unable to be reached by the Spanish influence or colonization. So, madalinton ulit is a quick rule, or a rule which describes our occupancy or subjection into Spanish colonialization. Well, madalinton can also be used with other words or coined with other phrases such as madalinton inawa, madalinton uloy, and other words. So we have arrived with that particular expression. Well, in this study, we have found out that words are very, very important or essential. Why do we think so? Because in the absence of artifacts, temples, and hard evidence to trace back Pangasinan history and origin of Pangasinan people, our language serves as a cultural identity marker, and the way we use it, intellectualize it, and revitalize it constitute our survival, our existence as people. So this has been Elsa Evangelista, the second place winner for the National Literary Contest on Pangasinan Antikaya Tungtong for Gawad Bimbinedo Lumbera in 2023, saying, lawas man san siya sa salitan Pangasinan, mabuhay po tayong lahat.